That's me, the day I packed up my life. And apparently my neighbors too, judging by the number of suitcases I had. There I was, juggling more luggage than hands, thinking the hardest part was getting everything to fit. Once the bags were tagged, I thought the worst was over. Spoiler, it wasn't. After leaving behind a couple of years in Canada, with a quick detour in Mexico for some sunshine, family goodbyes, and tacos, I finally boarded the flight to my new home, the Netherlands. This is the story of that move, complete with airport drama, cultural surprises, and a few unexpected adventures in my first months here. Grab a snack, a stroopwafel if you're feeling fancy, and settle in. Here's how it all began. Welcome to the chaos. Hola, hello, welcome to La Vida Day, where you'll find blogs, beauty, and a little chaos into languages, because complicating my life is my talent. After 11 hours in the air, that's when the trouble started. By the way, that's Ruben, my adventure partner. His face pretty much sums up how things were going at that point. After waiting at the luggage carousel, still hoping all my overweight suitcases would magically lose a few kilos when picked up, spoiler, they didn't, we finally grabbed our bags. It became very obvious that this was going to be way more than we could handle alone. At that point, we thought, no big deal, we'll just grab a trolley and move everything to the train station downstairs. But surprise! After buying our train tickets to Eindhoven, our final destination, okay, that sounds a bit dramatic, I know, the lady at the front desk explained that we couldn't use the airport trolleys outside the terminal, not even to get into the elevator. Cue the juggling act. One of us holding the elevator doors open, the other dragging the suitcases in. Somehow, we managed to squeeze 2 people, 2 backpacks, 2 carry-ons, and 5 extra large suitcases into a tiny elevator. A miracle, honestly. Exhausted and having zero idea what the Dutch station announcements were saying, we boarded our train, juggling everything again and somehow managing not to crush anyone else. After an hour and a half of travel, we made it to Eindhoven, where of course the stress kicked back in. We had to unload everything from the train fast so we wouldn't block anyone. After some impressively chaotic teamwork, we pulled everything out, only to realize we still had to find our hotel. And yes, that involved more stairs. I'll admit it, I panicked. Camping at the station was starting to sound like a good idea. And just when I was ready to give up, the miracle happened. A kind Dutch family, seeing how exhausted and confused we were, offered to help. They each grabbed a suitcase and guided us all the way to our hotel. I'll be forever grateful for these amazing people. And that's the moment I knew I had arrived somewhere truly special. After checking into the hotel and refreshing ourselves, hunger hit us like a suitcase to the face. So we ventured out, guided by my travel companion, Google Maps. That's how we ended up at the downtown urban market, a magical place full of food options, cozy lights, and zero decisions required. We had dinner there that night, and basically every night after that, no regrets. With our stomachs full, we walked back to a hotel, and that's when the first shock hit. A weirdly warm, misty winter night. Not quite cold, but definitely not hot. Just hauntingly humid. Compared to Calgary's dry freeze, it felt like we were walking through a foggy cold sauna. The following days were basically a blur. We were waking up at 3 p.m., yes, jet lag's a monster, only to discover that everything closes at 6 p.m. Shock number 2. Slowly, we started getting to know the area, finding convenience stores to survive hotel life. Here's a quick look at our hotel groceries. A lovely throwback to my Baroque University student days. Classic cuisine, noodles, chips, and dreams. Then came New Year's Eve, and I had the brilliant idea to celebrate in Amsterdam. At that point, I didn't know this would be the start of yet another chaotic chapter. We took a train in the evening, arriving in the dark to a city we had never explored. Google Maps sent us in circles for nearly an hour before finally reaching Museumplein. We waited in an eternally long line to try oliebollen, basically Dutch festive fried dough, which was delicious and well earned. As for dinner, let's just say we didn't think to make a reservation. So, naturally, we ended up with fast food burgers before going to the big celebration. Then we headed back to the Museumplein. There were lights, families, music, fireworks, and nowhere to sit. We stood in the cold for hours, fueled only by a tiny coffee from a food truck and sheer stubbornness. But when midnight came, surrounded by joy and cheers, it all felt worth it. I was grateful, hopeful. This was the beginning of something amazing. Then the after party reality hit. The open bar was great, until it closed at 2 a.m. Suddenly, we were freezing, tired, and without a plan. In a desperate quest for warmth and a bathroom, we ended up dancing in a nightclub until it closed at 4 a.m. From there, like half-frozen zombies, we made our way to the train station. It was cold, stores were closed, but we weren't alone. It looked like half the city had the same great idea. I found a spot on the floor and just gave up. We waited in the freezing cold until the first train at 6 a.m., finally managing to squeeze into 2 seats, a victory that felt like winning the lottery. After boarding the first train, we transferred in Utrecht, and something told me to run. We squeezed through the crowd and made it to the cafe just before it filled up. That sandwich and cappuccino? Pure glory. Finally, we made it back to our hotel in Eindhoven, exhausted but happy. It was the perfect chaotic ending, or beginning, to what was shaping up to be one wild year. Hey! If you made it this far, congrats! I appreciate you sticking around. Also, a friendly reminder that this exact video exists in Spanish, in case you feel like practicing your languages today. Don't be lazy. See you in the next one. Bye!